Yes, we are live now. Hey guys, greetings from Azure Developer Community Bengaluru chapter. And I'm Vishwas Narayan. With me, it's Feman Shah. And trust me, we are here to say you a lot beyond what open source community looks to you today. It's the best way in which the industry has been more disruptive today. And it's the only way in which development has taken place at a very large scale. So right now I'm with Feman seeing myself what should be the way in which we should be seeing how the Kubernetes and the Kubernetes cluster runs on the cloud through an open source project called as Kubesphere.
Yeah.
So over to you, sir. And this is going to be a brief introduction about my community, the Azure Developer Community Bengaluru chapter, where we organize a ton and tons of events like this. We also call a lot of open source contributors like Feynman, and also there's another session going on Kida. So after the session or else through the session, just go on to that and just start building something beyond what Kubernetes can offer. And also, we are a community which focus on learning, networking, and upskilling you guys. So right now, this is what we focus on. And don't forget to check out our upcoming events section. And there is one more event to be added. So we'll be adding Sure, and there is lot of events on cyber security aspects, the DevOps aspect, the quantum computing aspects, the quantum machine learning aspects. That's what we are talking about. That would be from Priyanka Sharma through the Azure Developer Community Bangalore chapter. This is also from Azure Developer Community, and this is obviously from my side. So do join, guys, and make yourself the better developer for the tomorrow's world. And over to you, sir. The stage is yours.
Okay. Hey, Vishwas and folks, thank you for having me. Let me share my screen.
It's visible. Yes, it's visible.
Okay. So my name is Feynman Zhou, and I come from China. Now I am Kubesphere Community Manager and CNCF Ambassador. Today I will walk you through the topic of Kubesphere on Azure Kubernetes Service, aka AKS. Okay, I hope I could bring you guys to a cloud native journey and bring more knowledge with you guys. Okay, let's talk about today's agenda. At first, we will focus on the introduction of Kubesphere, an open source container platform. And next, I will demonstrate how to install Kubesphere on Azure Kubernetes Service. And next, I will give you an intuitive demo to show you how to deploy a containerized Java application on AKS using Kubesphere. And finally, I'm going to show you how to build a cloud-native observability system on AKS. It will include the logging, monitoring, and auditing, as well as tracing. And at the end of my presentation, I will give some introduction to the open source contribution. I mean, I will let you know how to join the open source community as a contributor, and I will cover the code and the non-code contribution ways. Okay, let's get started. Before we get started with the demonstration and the introduction, I would like to show you a series of data, and I would like to talk about the CNCF survey of 2020. As you can see from this graph, and you can easily find that the complexity is the biggest challenge when adopting Kubernetes in production. So this is also the frequently asked question in our community, that why do we initiate Kubesphere, and what issues do we planning to solve? So I think we are going to solve the most gap complexity for Kubernetes. You know, Kubernetes have a very high learning curve for Kubernetes novices. And you may also, it is also very difficult for you to bootstrap a new Kubernetes cluster. And application lifecycle management, security, and multi-tenancy are also the core differences in Kubernetes community. Actually, we do have a lot of open source solutions and ecosystem. CNCF has also a bunch of open source projects, which includes a wide breadth of solutions for you to build cloud native storage, networking, observability, and cluster management. Kubernetes dashboard and Elasticsearch for logging, and the Grafana for the cloud native monitoring, and you can build your own dashboard in Grafana. And you can also build your own DevOps system based on Jenkins and GitLab. Well, let's talking about the tracing. You can also build your distributed microservice tracing system based on Istio and Jaeger. And finally, you can build your own monitoring system with Prometheus. So there is a lot of open source solutions, and I guess you guys are also using these tools in your development or production. So the core problem is that you have to learn and to manipulate a bunch of different user interfaces and to learn different, we say, concepts, right? So if you are a senior architect or senior cluster administrator, I think this is not a big deal. But there are also many Kubernetes novices and who want to get started with the cloud native technologies, and they want to apply them in their development and production. All of these tools are good, but they have a very high learning curve, and if you want to use them in different browsers, and you have to switch between different browsers. So this is very low efficient from my perspective. So that is why we initiate Kubesphere. So Kubesphere is a distributed operating system managing cloud native applications with Kubernetes as its kernel. Kubesphere also provides a plug-and-play open architecture for third-party applications seamlessly integration into its ecosystem. So imagine Kubesphere is an Ubuntu desktop, and Kubernetes is the Linux kernel. So Kubesphere helps the cluster administrators and the architect to manage their cloud native tools in an easy way. You can also drag and drop your workflow in a unified container platform. And this is the GitHub repository of Kubesphere. The organization of Kubesphere. We have a bunch of open source projects, including a lot of areas, observability, installation, and logging, and DevOps, and so on. And this is the website, kubesphere.io. You can check it out from your side. So yeah, this is the general architecture of Kubesphere container platform. For now, Kubesphere provides a wide breadth of functions, including service mesh, CI/CD, application management, observability, and security and authentication. So let's take service mesh as an example. It provides the microservice management, canary release, blue-green deployment, as well as distributed tracing. And we also position Kubesphere as a hybrid multi-cloud platform. It is designed for the multi-cloud and multi-cluster management. So that means you can import and manage any kinds of Kubernetes cluster. For example, you can import and manage your Amazon AKS or Azure AKS. So in this example, I will show you how to use Kubesphere to manage the Azure Kubernetes service. And Kubesphere can also be deployed on any kinds of Kubernetes distribution or the on-premise Kubernetes, as well as the edge and the virtualization platform. Okay, this is the ecosystem tools within Kubesphere. As you can see from this architecture, Kubesphere includes a wide breadth of ecosystem, including from application to the underlying container engine and orchestration and database. You know, the MySQL, Redis, Nginx, and RabbitMQ, MongoDB. All of these, we say, frequently used application have been integrated into the Kubesphere application store. So you can deploy those applications via one click from Kubesphere application store. And you can also build an out-of-box observability platform based on a couple of the popular open source observability tools, you know, Prometheus, Fluentbit, Fluentd. All of these are built in this platform. Yes, we do have a couple of, we say, DevOps tools. Kubesphere DevOps adopts the Jenkins as its underlying engine, and it also supports you to integrate your GitLab and Harbor registry into your DevOps workflow. So I will give some more demos and a brief introduction at the next slides. Yeah, we can take a look at the comparison to Kubernetes. We would say Kubesphere stands on the shoulder of a giant. Let's compare the installation of Kubernetes and Kubesphere. You know, there are a lot of open source installation and installer tools in community. You know, kubeadmin and I remember Minikube and as well as Kind. So those tools are easy for you to set up the Kubernetes cluster in your local machine or in your data center. But you will need to have a lot of configurations and complicated parameters. So in order to solve the configuration and to decrease the learning curve of the Kubernetes installation, we developed a brand new installer. We call it Kubekey. It provides a simple and easy to use cluster configuration and installation template. You can install it while one or two lines of command line, and then you can install it in any kinds of infrastructure. This installer also supports both online and offline installation. Okay, next let's move to the UI part. You know, Kubernetes dashboard is quite simple, and you can even view the resource consumption on this dashboard. This is very limit for you to execute some high-level actions on the dashboard. If you want to deploy a large scale of, we say, Kubernetes workloads, and you want to build your own observability and DevOps platform, in this case, Kubernetes dashboard is such simple, and you may not want to adopt it in your production or development. So we develop and design a user-friendly wizard web UI for users. I will also give you an intuitive demonstration in this presentation. Okay, you know, Kubernetes is designed for the single tenant scenario, and it is not quite easy for you to start in a big company or a multi-tenant organization. We do have some multi-tenancy management tool in community, but they are also out of the Kubernetes system. So you have to combine them with a lot of manual configuration. So in Kubesphere, we develop a lot of we integrate and we integrate, and it is compatible with Kubernetes native RBAC. And we also integrate the network policy, OAuth, and LDAP in the unified platform. You know, in the native Kubernetes system, the application management, CI/CD, and the service mesh are not included in the native Kubernetes. So we also provide those functions and give an out-of-box installation and the configuration for users to set up. This is a couple of the popular open source projects in Kubesphere community, and you can walk through these projects in Kubesphere GitHub. So I will not introduce them one by one in this presentation. Okay, I would like to focus on the cloud native observability in this presentation, and at first I would like to talk about the observability ecosystem in CNCF landscape. You can find this graph in landscape.cncf.io, and you will find the definition from the CNCF. So the monitoring, logging, tracing, and chaos engineering have been listed as the area of observability in CNCF landscape. That means if you want to build a cloud-native observability system, you may consider these 4 parts in your platform. Most people are thinking about the monitoring is equal to observability. I think this is quite limited, and you must need to consider logging and tracing, even chaos engineering in your observability platform. So we also built a unified observability platform for users to set up a bunch of monitoring and the logging and the auditing logs in a unified platform. So as you can see from this graph, you know, in our daily development and workflow, we have to observe the resources from different dimensions. You know, Kubernetes cluster and nodes and applications and Kubernetes pods and even Docker containers. We have different dimensions of resources in our system, so we have to grasp all the resources metrics from different resources, and we need to gather those metrics and indicators from different resources to the target destinations. So in general, we will set up the Prometheus for logging and the Fluentd for the set up the Prometheus and Grafana the monitoring system, and we will build a logging system based on Fluentd. At the same time, Elasticsearch is also a popular logging system for you to build a visualized logging dashboard. So all of these tools have a high learning curve for you to set up and manage them in your cluster. So Kubesphere integrates all of these tools and provide an intuitive web console. And you can also invite your developers, operators, and cluster maintainers into Kubesphere console and give the right authorities for them to do their own daily jobs. You can have more description from the website here, the kubesphere.io/observability. We also have a video demo in our website, so you can check it out from your site. Yeah, this is the screenshot for the cluster status monitoring on Kubesphere. It includes the monitoring data from the class-wide to application-wide. You can have an intuitive monitoring and logging system on Kubesphere dashboard. You can have the cluster node status, component status, and the cluster resource usage. And next, this is the Kubesphere logging system. You can search the log via keywords or via different classes or projects. And I will show you the interactive demo at the next step. Okay, Kubesphere also provides the end-to-end CI/CD workflow. As you can see from this graph, this is very popular in some of the enterprises. You can also start the CI/CD workflow from the requirement and to the development, and you can also integrate some of the CI/CD tools, SonarQube and Jenkins and Maven into your CI/CD workflows. So the end-to-end CI/CD workflow provides you an out-of-box CI/CD pipeline for you to publish your applications from the code to the final delivery. So we will take Microsoft Azure as an example in this demo. Okay, next we will move on the installation part. So we have, let us drill into the Azure Kubernetes service. So due to the time is limited, I have already create a Azure Kubernetes service in my account. So we will not waste time to create a new one in this demo. We will show you how to install Kubesphere on AKS directly. So for now, we have a live cluster. So if we want to deploy Kubesphere on AKS, you can open the share on your Azure console. And we also provide a step-by-step guide on our official website. You can check it out on AKS. So we have done the prerequisites. We have already set up a Azure Kubernetes cluster. So we can skip those steps, and we can direct to the installation step. So it is quite easy for you to set up Kubesphere on AKS. Only 2 lines of command. You just need to copy it and paste it. Just paste it on the command line. Since I have already I have already set up the Kubesphere cluster, so we don't need to waste time on the installation. So you can also paste the command on your side, and you can have a cluster at around 5 or 10 minutes. So after you pasted these two installation commands, you can also inspect the log from the installer. So let us check the logs. Okay, so fortunately, we got a successful installation results, as you can see from the installation log. If you can see the welcome information and it provides the login information, you can get the console address and the account and the password from your site. So next, you can update the service type of Kubesphere console. You just need to edit the service type and change the service type from node port to load balancer. In this case, you can access the Kubesphere console via an external load balancer IP, for example, like this way. So as I have already completed these steps, so we can have a Kubesphere cluster. For now, let me show you. So we can check the node pools of Azure Kubernetes services. So for now, we have 3 Kubernetes nodes in our cluster. So let's check on Kubesphere console. This is from the cluster administrator perspective. So you can have all of the monitoring and logging data on the cluster management dashboard. Okay, for now, you can see all of the Kubernetes nodes in Azure Kubernetes service. So let's drill into the node detail page. You can have an intuitive monitoring of the nodes. You can see the CPU utilization, and you can also have the detailed monitoring metrics from the CPU and the memory and the disk utilization and inode, as well as IOPS and the disk. So this is quite easy for you to inspect the node status, and you can also filter the period. At the same time, you can inspect how many ports are running on these nodes, and you can check the ports monitoring data from this list. And you can also drill into the container to get the detailed container logs via this button. Okay, this is from the cluster administrator perspective. So you can have a view to all of the components of Kubesphere and Kubernetes. So next, let's move forward to the, we can say, developer perspective. For now, we have created a workspace. You know, workspace is an isolated logical unit use it to organize projects and DevOps projects in Kubesphere. It is used to manage resources access and share information within your teams. So for now, we have already created a workspace. We can click into it, and then we can create our own projects. The projects is equal to the Kubernetes namespace. So the workspace and projects are designed for the multi-tenancy mechanism. So you can have different projects and DevOps projects in a workspace. So the DevOps projects is used to create a CI/CD pipeline. So you can leverage the DevOps projects in GitOps or DevOps. Since we have already created a demo project, so we just need to click and enter into the detail page. Okay, I think this is, we don't have any kinds of resources in this project. So we can create a new one with the Kubernetes service. So in this demo, I would like to take a source to image demonstration for you. So as we said before, we will use a Java application to create and build it from the source code. And finally, we will release and deploy it to the Kubernetes cluster. This is an automated workflow for you to set up, and you can also leverage the source to image to publish your container image to the final Docker registry. Okay, we have a sample Spring Boot Java application in GitHub. So if you want to do it from your side, you just need to fork it to your own GitHub repository. Okay, let's get started with this project. We will deploy this project while the source to image workflow. It is also a kind of DevOps. It is also a kind of DevOps system in Kubesphere. So you just need to copy the address of the application, the GitHub repository address. Copy it, and you can move into the service page. So for now, you can choose any kinds of application you want to deploy. We provide some built-in application templates, Java, Node.js, Python. You can also build your own language. For example, you can create a PHP template, and you can build it via the source to image template, and you can write any kinds of with a language template in your cluster, in your platform. So let's choose Java. We can give a name of this application. Java Spring Boot PP. So let's paste the code repository, and we can set the master as the branch. Image name. Okay, let's type our Docker Hub account and define the image name. Our Spring Boot. This is the Docker registry secret that I have created before. So you just need to choose it. So here you just need to set a health checker. So this is the workflow that we are going to do in this demo. So we can set a container readiness check. So let's check it with the screenshot. Everything looks fine. So let's check it. If everything looks fine, you can click it to save it and click next. Oh, we forgot to set the service settings. Yeah, we have to set the container port and the service port. This is very essential for the Kubernetes service. We need to expose the Kubernetes service outside the cluster. So set up it. As we have the load balancer in Azure Kubernetes service, so you can expose the service with the load balancer service type. If all these steps have been completed, just save it and create it. Okay, this service has been created successfully. Let's wait for maybe 1 minute or 1 or 2 minutes, since it has a SQL job. Okay, we see the first replica of Java Spring Boot application has been running successfully. So you can join to the pod detail page. So you can retrieve the monitoring metrics and the monitoring dashboard from the container detail page. This is the events of this container. So if this pod can running successfully, that means the S2I workflow, the source to image workflow, has been created and running successfully. So at this point, you get a load balancer IP address on Kubesphere console. So you can copy it and paste it in your browser. Oops, it does not work as from my expectation. So we can also check the access of this application in the internal Kubernetes cluster. So you can also access the service via the endpoint. So we have a web kubectl tool. So you can open it and you can verify the access. You can verify the access in the web kubectl. Paste it. Cool, we got the correct result. If everything goes fine, you can see this sentence that returns from our Java application. So you can inspect the source code. We write this sentence in our source code. You can see, yeah, this is a Hello World sample application. So I'm not sure why the load balancer IP address is not available in our browser. I think it might need to debug from the Azure console. But we can verify the access internally. So I think the workflow has been created successfully. Okay, this demo is quite easy, and you can also create your own end-to-end CI/CD workflow using Kubesphere and Azure Kubernetes service. But the complete demo will take around 20 or half an hour. So I think I will not demonstrate the whole CI/CD workflow in this presentation. But if you want to try it from your side, we also provide a step-by-step guide in our official website. Let's find it in the catalog. Yeah, we have the DevOps user guides chapter. So you can click into the DevOps guide. Yeah. Actually, if you want to create an end-to-end CI/CD pipeline, you can follow with this guide. And this guide provides an intuitive demo for you to create a Jenkins pipeline via the built-in Jenkins file. So we have almost 8 steps for you to create a complete CI/CD pipeline. So I think you can try it yourself after this presentation, and you can also ask me anything about this demo. We also have a online demo cluster, so you can try it, and you can have some interactive demo in this environment. So next, let's go ahead and focus on the cloud native observability. So yeah, we have walked through the basic definition of monitoring, logging, and tracing, as well as the chaos engineering. So actually, we built all of these stuffs in Kubesphere console, and you can set up you can enable the monitoring, logging, and tracing in Kubesphere system. You can also deploy the chaos engineering tools from Kubesphere application store. Litmus Chaos or Chaos Blade or Chaos Mesh. So you can also deploy those tools from Kubesphere application store. Let me show you the position. Yeah, this is the built-in application in total. So if you want to deploy any kinds of applications from your side, you can also import an external Helm repository to Kubesphere. So you can you can try to drill into the workspace and you will find the application repository. You can also add your own or your target repository address into Kubesphere console, and you will have a bunch of cloud native applications and import them into Kubesphere. So we have already deployed a containerized Java application in our Kubernetes cluster. So we can finally check the logging, the events from different dimensions, from the cluster to application wide. So let's show you the built-in log search dashboard. So for now, we have a total of around 90,000 logs from 53 containers in total. So we can actually drill into this period. So we have a lot of pod, and we have a lot of logs from different pods. Let's see the warning log. Yeah, you can locate the issue, and you can locate the issue via the detail logs. It also allows you to drill into the specific container. So you can click into it via this button. And you can also drill into the part of this namespace. If you want to have more analysis in your local, you can export all of the log from the log export. Okay, this is the log search dashboard. So if you want to know who operate your cluster or application in a specific period, you can inspect these actions, and you can look back to those actions in the auditing logs. So we can search from our demo project. Okay, actually we have created a project named Demo Azure. So we can see the previous action that we did in Kubesphere Container Platform. So let's focus on the create method. So you can retrieve the metadata of this method. So in some big enterprises, especially for the banking or financial services industry, the auditing log is very essential for class administrator or security management person who want to look back the actions or the history methods that who did those things. You can search the detailed auditing log in this dashboard. So finally, we can focus on the event search. So as you can see from the event search dashboard, it includes all of the Kubernetes events in a unified platform, and it provides different time and period. You can search it with the detailed keywords or different dimensions. You can also check it out from the period. This is quite same with the auditing log. You can click into its detail page and to inspect the metadata of the Kubernetes event. This is also quite friendly for the cluster operator and, and the developer who want to look back and inspect what happens in their application or their pods or any kinds of resources in our platform. Okay, so I think we have demonstrated the Kubernetes logging, events, and auditing logs, and I would like to provide an intuitive dashboard for the monitoring of infrastructure. As you know, we have 3 nodes in our Azure Kubernetes service, so this can be found in this dashboard. You can also drill into the specific detail page. Let's go back, and you can see the detailed cluster resource usage. I think this is very useful for you to plan and to make a great informed decision. To you can use this dashboard to plan the resource utilization, and for example, if the resource usage is almost to the top, you can expand your node or your cluster. This is the monitoring metrics, including the API server and the API and the scheduler. You can also have a bunch of monitoring metrics from this dashboard. This is for Kubernetes control plane of the cluster. This is also very essential for the Kubernetes cluster, Kubernetes administrator to inspect the status of their control plane. Well, you can also get the usage of utilization of these Kubernetes nodes. You can rank it by different dimensions. For example, CPU, load average, memory, or local storage. So this is quite high efficient to locate what happens and you need to do for your Kubernetes nodes. Okay, I think this is all for Kubernetes observability in Kubesphere Container Platform. So I think obviously you can see an out-of-box solution, and all of these tools are built in a unified platform. So you can download and try it from your site. You can follow with the installation guide in our official website. Okay, I think at this point, I would like to show you how to join and contribute to an open source community. You know, Kubesphere is open source, and yeah, open source is eating the world, and I think cloud native is eating the open source. Why I say this? Why do I think the cloud native is eating the open source? All of the popular cloud native tools are open source, and some of them are donated to the CNCF. So you can build any kinds of applications built on those great cloud native ecosystem tools.
Sir, you can also share me the link in the private chat. I'll put it in the comment section.
You mean this link, right?
Yeah, every link, every link.
Okay. So how can I share this link to the chat box?
Yeah, it's in a private chat. I'll put it in the.
Okay. Let me try it. I think we can also share this slide with our audiences.
Sure. Contributors. Here's the link for the contributors. And you guys can see it here on the screen. This is the one. So go ahead and contribute to whatever you want through Kubesphere. So yes.
Okay, actually, we can have all of the links from this slide, and we will share the source file with you after this presentation.
Sure.
Okay, so to be honest, every open source community is open and warmly welcome the new contributors to join the community. For example, our own Kubesphere community. So if you want to join a large-scale community, you can start from the code or non-code contribution. Actually, non-code contribution is relatively easy for the open source novices to get started. And if for the code, you can find some good first issue in GitHub. You can filter it with the GitHub search filter, and you will find some good first issues or help wanted issues. So for the non-code contribution, for example, it includes the documentation, advocacy, testing and release, blogs and sharing, and you can also help people in any kinds of open source community. You can help them to answer their questions, or you can also help them, for example, you can reply to their issues or help them to review the documents or codes. Yeah, I think it is also a great way for the open source novices to join a community with joining their meetups or events. You can also try to co-host the webinars or meetups with them. Actually, we do have a couple of non-code contribution opportunities. For example, we have a lot of contributors from all over the world. We have one of the contributors from India and Turkey and South Africa. And we also have a lot of contributors who are willing to help us to promote Kubesphere all over the world. We had a session in Kubernetes Community Day Spain, and these two guys are the contributors to Spanish in Kubesphere console. Yeah, Kubesphere supports Spanish in console. So actually, the localization is also a great way for you to join. So you can contribute the we can say any kinds of language in our products. You can also write blogs or documents in your personal website or in our community. Actually, we do have the the way to join our community, you can click into the contribution page of Kubesphere website. Let's see it. Yeah, actually, if you want to contribute to any kinds of community, I think the first step is to download and use their product or their project. You can give their feedbacks or any kinds of suggestions or requirements. This is also one of the contribution way for you to get started. Okay, let's take a little bit time to talk about how to get involved, how to engage with a community. So in Kubernetes community, there are a lot of special interest groups. We say 6. So in Kubesphere community, we also have a lot of, I think we have 18 special interest groups in our community. So this is the calendar in our community. We will organize a series of SIG meetings in our community. Some of them are the bi-weekly meeting. So we will talk about the development. We will also give demos in our SIG meetings. So if you are interested in joining our community, you can choose one of the SIG meeting, and you can find the meeting information and the agenda from this calendar. We also grant our we say ambassadors and the contributors the swag and the t-shirts. So if you are interested in joining our community, we can also give the certificates for the significant contribution. Finally, I would like to introduce some of the other active communities. So Fluent community is the leading logging solution in CNCF ecosystem. FluentD and the FluentBit operator are both the graduated project in CNCF. So we are also plan to donate one of the open source project which is initiated by our community, FluentBit operator. So we can have our open source project list. So let's drill into the FluentBit operator. So we are going to donate this project to Fluent System, and we are going to build a new website for FluentD and FluentBit and FluentBit operator. We are going to combine these 3 projects into a unified website. So we are also looking for the web builders, developers, and designers who can help us to develop the new website. So you can go through this proposal, and if you are interested in joining us, let us know and join our Slack channel. You can express your interest, and you can help us to build the new website. As I know, I think there's also a popular guide in Kubernetes developer website. It guides you to how to choose a SIG as a non-code Kubernetes contributor. So this is a great way for you to join the Kubernetes ecosystem projects as a non-code contributor. So I recommend you guys to go through this guide, this blog. Yeah. You can also find a way to join the Kubernetes SIGs. For example, the SIG docs and the contributor experiences. I will send the link to you guys. Yeah, again, I would like to emphasize to the how to join the community. The good first issue is the best way for you to get started from a open source novice. So you can check how many good first issue for you to pick it up. For example, we have a lot of good first issue in Kubesphere community. Let me check. I think we have an entity link. Okay, this link includes all of the good first issue in our community. So if you are interested in joining Kubesphere projects, you can find and try to pick any kinds of the good first issue in this link. We also have the open source mentors in our community. So we are willing to help the open source novices to get started and help them to join our community. Okay, let's back to the slide. Okay, finally, you can find us on any kinds of channels. We are active in Twitter, LinkedIn, GitHub, and YouTube, as well as our Slack channel. You can contact us at any time in our Slack channel. So check it out in your site. Feel free to join us and follow us. So guys, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. So Vishwas, I think this is all for my presentation.
Yes, sir. Yes. Oh, there is a lot of doubts from Amey. Amey has a lot of doubts. He's asking accessible slides, please. Access the slides, please. Yes, we will be sharing the slides after the session for sure. Don't worry about that. And he's asking, does Kubesphere has kubectl command which can work? Like, is there any commands in the Kubesphere like kubectl?
Yes, I think I already demonstrate and showcase the web kubectl.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can find the web kubectl from the toolbox. It works. This is a basic function in Kubesphere console, I think. So is there any other questions?
Yeah, there's a lot. Like Amey has been asking, would Kubesphere integrate to Azure DevOps? Yes, it's been shown. Would Kubesphere integrate to Azure DevOps?
Not yet, I would say, but it is in our plan. I know Azure DevOps is the most popular DevOps tool in the cloud provider services. So we are going to provide some demos and tutorials for integrate those two tools. I think
And also, yeah.
if you can leverage the Azure DevOps and Kubernetes, and I think you can also use them in a unified platform. Since Kubesphere is equal to the native Kubernetes cluster.
And also, Amay is asking about can I integrate this with Aquasec and Falco?
Falco, right?
Yeah.
For now, I'm not sure if you may I ask a question. I think if the Falco can be installed in the Helm chart, I think it could be integrated. But from the product perspective, we have not used Falco in Kubesphere container platform, but we are also investigating how to leverage Falco in our project. I think they want to build a security, and I think they have some requirements on the security part.
Yeah.
So it would be great if you can raise a GitHub issue for the integration with Falco. Yeah, you can raise a GitHub issue in our GitHub.
You used here Docker registry. Can I use ACR? Azure Container Registry. That's what he's asking about.
Sorry, which container registry?
Azure Container Registry.
Oh, yes. Actually, you can use any kinds of container registry in Kubesphere. You can create your own container registry secret, as I demonstrated in my presentation. I just take the Docker registry as an example. So you can use any kinds of image registry, for example, Azure registry or AWS container registry, or even GitHub image registry. This
Yeah.
is not
And
image.
also, yeah. And also, oh, do you have a guide for Azure pipelines? He is asking about Azure pipelines.
To be honest, I am not quite familiar with the Azure pipelines or Azure DevOps. Are then the same? For now, Kubesphere DevOps is based on the Jenkins engine. So I think if you would like to leverage the Azure pipeline in Kubesphere, we can investigate and give you the answer after this session.
Sure. And also, everybody is saying nice presentation, nice presentation. Yeah, Vishwanath Shankar sir is also saying about it. And yeah, thank you so much, folks, for joining into this session. And it's a new tech, but you can contribute a lot, and I'm contributing for sure. This is an amazing project. Don't leave it. Just go and contribute as much as you can. So yes, so thank you so much, folks. Thank you so much. I think this is the end of the questions. If you have any questions, please do pop it up in the comment section so that we can answer it right now.
Yeah, we still have time. Feel free to ask anything, and feel free to join us, to download it, to try it, and give us feedback.
Sure. Sure, I think this works. And thank you so much, folks. Thank you so much. This was an amazing session from Feynman. And I think, trust me, he gave a broad view about what this open source and the technology is all about. And thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for being part of the Azure developer community. And just love to have more of the open source hustle like this. So thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Have a nice weekend.
Yes. Bye, everybody. Bye. I'll end the
Bye-bye.
broadcast now.